Week 4 is officially in the books. Week 5 just around the corner. These are my SEC power rankings after 4 weeks complete in the college football season. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us across all social media platforms as well as our website, SECUnfiltered.com. This segment brought to you by our friends over at MyBookie. Go to mybookie.ag. Use promo code SECU at sign up to receive a special welcome offer on your first deposit. That's mybookie.ag. Promo code SECU to get your special welcome offer today. We're through 4 weeks of the 2024 college football season. And before we move ahead to week 5, these are my power rankings after 4 weeks complete. As we take a look at each of my selections, we will start at number 16. And this one is no surprise. The Mississippi State Bulldogs are holding it down in the cellar. And guys, not only is Mississippi State most likely not going to come out of this 16 spot all year, especially after they lose their starting quarterback, Blake Shapen, Mississippi State might challenge for one of the worst SEC teams we've probably seen in the last decade. Like, I think back to 2019, Arkansas was a pretty bad team. There's been some Vandy teams probably mixed in there. But this Mississippi State team, guys, they are bad. I mean, they are really, really, really bad, right? Like, if we didn't know that after Toledo, you watch them against Florida, the defense is a complete mess. You've got players going on podcasts. I saw a Texas Tech guy talking about, yeah, we watched the film from Mississippi State against Arizona State. That was like the worst run defense scheme we've ever seen. It is a complete dysfunctional mess. So Mississippi State at number 16. I'm still a believer in Jeff Lebby long term, but this is going to be a brutal year, especially when you look at the schedule. They are going to take some beatings, and I highly doubt State ever comes out of that 16 spot. At number 15, I've got the Auburn Tigers, a team that I witnessed over this past weekend in person. And you talk about a mess. How about the offense for Auburn? And the way Hugh Freeze has handled the quarterback situation, Hank Brown getting the start against Arkansas, guys, he was abysmal. I mean, he was flat out abysmal. I understand why you went back to Peyton Thorne, but it's like now you're just back to square one, right? I know Auburn fans were sitting there watching thinking, oh, my goodness, this literally could not have gone any worse, right? I mean, I think defensively there's still hope there, obviously, but I put Auburn in this 15 spot because the offense is so bad. So bad. You're not even able to maximize all the upgrades on the outside at wide receiver and what Jarquez Hunter can give you at the running back position. Also, defensively, I say they're going to keep you in games, but you know what's glaring? A lack of athleticism, right? And that loss to Arkansas, I thought you saw it there. So Jordan-Hare Stadium has lost some of that magic. You're not able to protect the home field. You got problems at quarterback. You fall at number 15 in this week's power rankings. Number 14, I've got the Vanderbilt Commodores. Guys, Vandy gave Mizzou all they wanted and then some. I'll make one guarantee right here. Vanderbilt is going to win a conference game this year. I don't know exactly who it's going to come against, but they're going to win an SEC game. Like, this Vandy team is very solid. This Vandy team is very solid. I even felt for a moment, hey, maybe I put them too low. I may have done so, but right now at 14, but they're about as dangerous a 14 in a power rankings as you are going to find. At number 13, I've got the Florida Gators. Listen, Florida, give them credit. Showing some life on the road in Starkville. You do have to give Billy Napier credit for keeping this thing together and having his team motivated and ready to play. They obviously have not mailed it in and are still fighting for their head coach, which is not surprising to me because everything we heard down in Gainesville was the culture is still really good. Guys like Billy Napier. They want to play for him. They're not going to quit on him in this season. So what does it really mean for Florida? You got the bye week. Then you got the big game against UCF. That is the one, guys. I was asked a couple weeks ago, if Billy loses this game, is he fired by Monday? If he loses this game, this is the first game where I truly think, guys, if Florida loses that game in 2 weeks, he will be fired by Sunday morning. Like, I think action, they will have to take action. But at the same time, who knows? Maybe Florida can get hot, catch a little fire, make an unexpected turnaround. But at least for this week, Florida fans can feel good after the win over Mississippi State, number 13 in the rankings. At number 12, I've got the Kentucky Wildcats. Not a lot of movement here, guys. I mean, you score 41 points on Ohio. I'm sure Kentucky fans don't know how to act because when's the last time Kentucky scored 41 points. I mean, they still at this point have not scored a touchdown against SEC competition. They'll have the opportunity this weekend against the Ole Miss Rebels at Vaught Hemingway Stadium. So you could go 0-3 in conference play with still 0 touchdowns scored. We'll see if that holds serve. But for at least a week again, Kentucky feels good about what they saw on Saturday. No passing touchdowns, though, from Brock Vandagriff. So if Kentucky's going to make any sort of run this season, they got to get their quarterback going as well. And number 11, guys, I've got the Oklahoma Sooners. Now, this is a pretty sizable drop. I had OU up in the 8th spot last week, and really the last couple weeks, I bumped them down. Now you got a quarterback controversy. Michael Hawkins Jr. under center. He takes over for Jackson Arnold in the second half there against Tennessee. The game went how I thought it would. I did not see Jackson Arnold getting benched in a football game. The thing I'll say about Oklahoma is this. The defense is elite, but the offensive line and the quarterback situation is in such disarray that I do not trust Oklahoma right now. I don't. I do not trust Oklahoma. A lot of people will say they're dropped too low. They're behind some teams they should be ahead of. Guys, these teams really 8 through 11, really 8 through 12. You could throw them up, put them up, shake them up. You could tell me somebody beat somebody, and you can convince me anyway. Like, really, truly, this is the group of we don't really know what we're getting on a week-in, week-out basis. Oklahoma, you're in that category. And Oklahoma fans, I would say this. It's all love, but Oklahoma is what we thought they would be. And OU fans thought that was blasphemy over the offseason. And, I get it. I understand, very proud program. But when you have the line issues that OU does, when you've got the quarterback questions that they do, you get a product like you saw on Saturday against a really talented Tennessee team, but there are a lot of kinks. This isn't, guys, this drop in the power rankings for Oklahoma, let me say this. This drop isn't just a one-week thing. Oklahoma has looked bad all year, and it just finally caught up with them because the competition rose. And that game could have been a lot uglier than it was, a 10-point margin of defeat. So OU at 11, I feel good about that pick. Number 10, I've got the Arkansas Razorbacks. How about them Hogs going into Jordan-Hare Stadium and getting the dub? Again, I got to witness this, guys, in person. Arkansas is far from a perfect football team. They are. They're far from a perfect football team. Taylon Green is as much a roller coaster as any quarterback in this league, but they're dangerous. Arkansas is a dangerous football team that you don't look forward to playing. And I think for Arkansas fans this year, in year 5 of Sam Pittman, what's he got to do to keep his job and extend his tenure? Like, I think that's a minor victory, right? You don't want people looking forward to playing you. I think Arkansas is that team you're not excited to play. You're not excited to see them on the schedule, right? I love the way Jaquinton Jackson runs the football. Like I mentioned, Taylon Green, what he does with his legs, improvising, getting outside the pocket. Defensively, I like the way they get to the football. They're very athletic on the defensive side, led by Travis Williams, the defensive coordinator. Again, they're up and down. They're going to be a roller coaster, but a really, really solid road win at Jordan-Hare Stadium, a place that is not easy to play. And guys, for all intents and purposes, again, I was there in person. Arkansas dominated the majority of that football game. I mean, they dominated that game. The score could have been more lopsided. So Arkansas moves up for me to number 10. Number 9, South Carolina. The Gamecocks take care of business against Akron. Robbie Ashford actually looks really good in place of Lenore Sellers. Was able to throw and run the football. Got to keep an eye on the health of this football team. Rocket Sanders goes out with an apparent injury, had a boot on. It seems like it's nothing major, but you just never know how these things can linger. Also got to get Lenore Sellers healthy out of the bye week. But, guys, the defensive front is still as active as ever. Dylan Stewart is becoming a household name more and more so as each week passes. And, again, a bye week for the Gamecocks. Huge matchup upcoming in 2 weeks or so when Ole Miss comes to town. The Rebels, which, of course, featured Juice Wells, who was on South Carolina's roster a season ago. That one's going to be a lot of fun to talk about, to break down, to preview, and, of course, to watch when they kick off. But South Carolina in that 9 spot. Feel good about this. The Gamecocks, again, a dangerous team. The only loss coming to LSU, which a lot of Carolina fans will tell you they should have won. But right now, feel good about South Carolina in the 9 spot. They just got to make sure they get healthy coming out the bye week. Number 8, I've got the Texas A&M Aggies. An interesting weekend, to say the least. A 6-point margin of victory against Bowling Green. But, guys, I'm not drawing conclusions from that game. It's, again, year 1 of a new head coach. How seriously is Texas A&M taking Bowling Green? And, is that fair? Is that right? Is that a good thing if that's the case? No. But like I mentioned, guys, it takes more than one offseason to mend a broken culture. And I think there's still things behind the scenes that Mike Elko is working through and working on. All in all, again, you get the W. There's things they got to clean up, obviously, but all the mistakes that I think A&M made, they're correctable. They're fixable, right? They're not things that I think, oh, this is who they are. I think they're very simple issues they can clean up, and they will clean up. I think you'll see a different A&M team this weekend against Arkansas in the Southwest Classic. So I'm keeping A&M in that 8 spot, not overreacting to a tight ball game with Bowling Green. By the way, a Bowling Green team that nearly beat Penn State at their place. So this is not a slouch. This was not, I mean, we talked about it last week. Hey, this could be a fight, right? They could be in for a battle, and certainly they were. Number 7, I've got the Missouri Tigers. Now, I dropped Mizzou a spot. Concerned with Mizzou in regards to, I got to see more from Brady Cook, right? Brady Cook has been just okay. He's got to be exceptional when they play in their bigger games this year at Kyle Field, Alabama, etc., Oklahoma, if you will. Defensively, too, I think it's been a little bit leaky, right? I thought I took Vandy plus 21. I thought because of Diego Pavia, his playmaking ability, that he could give them some problems. And boy, did he ever. Again, you had to go to overtime to beat Vandy. Still, guys, here's my thing. Missouri found a way to get the job done. And in the SEC, listen, you got to give Vandy a lot of credit. Vandy's a lot better than I think people want to give credit. They really are. I didn't punish Georgia when they beat Kentucky by 1 point on the road. I'm not going to punish all that much, at least, Missouri right now for an overtime win against the Vanderbilt Commodores. We will see what we're getting from Mizzou when the competition stiffens. Does Missouri rise to the occasion? Does Brady Cook rise to the occasion? But right now, 7 feels right. Missouri, still a lot of talent, obviously, on that roster. But as the schedule toughens up, I'm really curious what version of Mizzou we get it. Number 6, I've got the LSU Tigers. Guys, LSU, I get it. Wildly inconsistent. The defense has been leaky against lesser competition. UCLA, what they were able to do in the passing game is really, really concerning. The running game is really, really concerning. The interior, the LSU defensive line is concerning. Harold Perkins Jr. at the linebacker spot, he is now out for the season. I still like LSU offensively. Now, are they going to figure out how to run the football? I don't know, but I'm a believer in LSU when it comes to the offensive side of the football still. I like what I'm seeing from Garrett Nussmeier and the explosiveness down the field. I think as they get healthier as well on the offensive side, Chris Hilton's a guy who needs to come back for them at the wide receiver spot. I think LSU building up to that game with Ole Miss, and who knows what will happen at night at Death Valley. But right now I've got LSU at 6. Very volatile football team, but I still like the talent that LSU has. I like what Blake Baker's doing on the defensive side. LSU still kind of figuring themselves out early, but I think the Tigers, again, building up to this weekend against South Alabama, the bye week, then Ole Miss comes to town, and then we're going to really, really find out what this LSU team is all about. Number 5, I got the Alabama Crimson Tide. Bama coming off the bye week. Of course, guys, these power rankings are going to shake up a ton because we got Bama and Georgia facing off in Tuscaloosa, and we will be at that ball game. Alabama, again, really excited to see, is there a passing of the torch in Tuscaloosa, or does Alabama, for all intents and purposes, still run the SEC? Number 4, I've got the Ole Miss Rebels. Guys, I dropped Ole Miss a spot, and it'll make sense in a second, but Ole Miss still looks really good. They finally opened up conference play. We've watched Ole Miss for 4 consecutive games pick on lesser competition, and I know it's Kentucky, but we finally get to see Ole Miss take on somebody their own size. We finally get to see Ole Miss pick on somebody who's on their level, if you will. At least you're facing off against some defensive personnel where some of the guys on that side of the ball are going to be playing in the league next year, right? They're going to be NFL guys. So I bump Ole Miss down to the 4 spot, guys. Ole Miss did nothing wrong, okay? Did nothing wrong. But at number 3, I've got the Tennessee Volunteers. It's because of what Tennessee did, not because of anything Ole Miss didn't do, that I moved Tennessee up. Guys, we got to start talking about Tennessee as a real contender and a real player to not just win the SEC championship, but this Tennessee team can win it all. I really believe this Tennessee team can win the national championship. And you go on the road and you do what they did in an extremely hostile environment with all eyes on you, College game day, Josh Heupel's return. We all know about all the storylines, right? You go into Norman, and guys, you dominated that game. You dominated that game for 3 quarters. I know it was a 10-point margin of victory, and it wasn't that close. It really wasn't. And what's scary, guys, Nico's not even playing his best. Like, I don't think Tennessee right now is even clicking on all cylinders, and they're still beating people. And they're able to win in multiple ways, right? They can get physical. They can run the football. They can beat you with the vertical passing game. They beat you with that defense every time with that incredible front seven. I was asked about the secondary a couple of days ago. You worried about the Tennessee secondary? Has it been tested? I mean, maybe not, but the front seven is going to bail them out so much that I don't think we're going to have to worry all that much about the secondary. So, guys, this Tennessee team is for real. This Tennessee team is legit. I'm a believer in Josh Heupel. I'm a believer in Tennessee. I would all guys but guarantee Tennessee is in the college football playoff at season's end. And again, they're just not a team that's going to make the playoff, and that's it. This is a team that I think can make a run, maybe even make it to a national title game. I really fully believe that. And number two, I've got the Texas Longhorns. Ho-hum, Texas with a big win over ULM. General Booty was no match for the Texas defense, which I was not surprised at all. Arch Manning with the 2 interceptions. One of them was tipped, right? Not worried about that number or that stat line. Arch has done an incredible job at the QB1 spot while Quinn Ewers is out. I mean, guys, again, you talk about a team that can win in a multitude of ways. Texas can beat you in a track meet. They can beat you in a street fight. They've got weapons all over the place. You could argue they have the best wide receiver room in the SEC. I don't think that's too much. Jaden Blue and his return looked really good. So Texas looked really good running the football, take care of their business. And they open up SEC play this weekend, finally. But unfortunately, we're probably not going to learn a lot because, again, they play the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Need I say more? And at number 1, guys, I've got the Georgia Bulldogs. Like I told you guys last week, I was not someone that was going to move Georgia out of that number 1 spot because they won a tough SEC game on the road. Certainly am not going to move Georgia out of that 1 spot after a bye week. We're kind of reaching the point, guys, with Georgia that we had with Bama. Like when we called it Bama fatigue, people are getting Georgia fatigue. That's the only reason why, in my mind, you move Georgia out of the 1 spot. That's the only reason. That's the only reason you do it. This is taking nothing away from Texas. Taking nothing away. But let's put some respect on the Georgia Bulldogs, right? And they're going to have a chance this weekend to really earn it and put their foot down. And this is Georgia's time for Kirby Smart and company. Is the torch being passed? Is Georgia the new kings of the SEC, or will Alabama have something to say otherwise? But right now, I've still got Georgia in that 1 spot. But certainly, guys, do not be surprised after a loaded Week 5 slate if things don't shake up. So, guys, what do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? How would you power rank the teams of the SEC after 4 full weeks of play? Guys, that's going to do all for me. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Again, make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, SECUnfiltered.com. Until next time, guys, I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, and we'll catch you on the other side.